Hey y'all, welcome to today's video. In today's video, I'm going to be discussing the Virginia gubernatorial election that is coming up. I'm going to be giving my rating and discussing it. I'm going to try to do this pretty quickly. Spoiler alert, I'm giving this lean to McAuliffe. And basically, as for why, first off, looking at the polls, this is not good for McAuliffe, being realistic. Only winning by 3 in the polls as a Democrat is a bad sign. If the Republican is winning in the polls, I would feel confident giving them the state. If a Democrat is, it really depends on their margin of victory. This is not. This is very worrisome for McAuliffe. That is far too narrow for me to. Or I don't. Just based off the polls alone, I don't want to say it's far too narrow for me to be sure that he wins. I think McAuliffe does win. Yes. Just looking at the polls alone, I think this should be worrisome for my. Or this is like I think McAuliffe should be worried. That is really, really narrow for Virginia, and especially given the fact that Youngkin will probably overperform the polls, that is not a good sign. Some like a poll that sort of two polls, it looks like, that should be more like encouraging for McAuliffe is two or Fox News twice, A plus pollster or A pollster, McAuliffe plus 5, McAuliffe plus 11. He actually did like what? He won by like 6% more with registered voters, so that's probably more encouraging for McAuliffe with likely voters. I don't know, maybe just he should try to stop Youngkin from registering voters. I don't know. Either way, that's still a larger margin of victory than that. I don't really know what McAuliffe should do about that. Maybe McAuliffe should try to register more voters. I don't know, but I don't even know if that'll actually have any significance by election day. As Youngkin will probably register lots and lots of voters by that point. But I think based off of this alone, that should probably be fairly worrisome for McAuliffe. Over here, Biden's unpopular. This is gonna be a very, very favorable midterm for Republicans, and not only necessarily the midterms, probably the 2021 gubernatorial elections. This is gonna be favorable for Republicans. We are far, far past the point of it's not going to be. No, it's going to be very, very favorable for Republicans. It'll likely be 20, like 14 esque. It will not be good for Democrats. I mean, like in here, let me go pause this. Last time I opened this article, when I was like, I'm re-recording. Last time I did it, I got like a ad, and I don't want to get like copyright infringe. I don't know how that works, but I want to be safe in case I do, because I don't know what paper towel company is gonna like do anything about it. But anyways, let me just go. Okay, so that was pretty fun. I did not get a paper towel ad. So yay. Anyways, this headline mainly: Biden's approval 10 points lower than Obama's at same point in presidency. That is not good for Joe Biden. That is not good for the Democrats. In 2009, Virginia was safe R. If we go look at Obama carried it by like 6%, 6.5% ish. That's like a 20 or 23% swing to the right. Should that happen with should Youngkin do that? That would be like a likely R. That would be like likely R. That is not like at all a good thing for that is not a good thing for McAuliffe. That is obviously I don't think it's gonna happen. I don't think Youngkin's gonna get that lucky. I think that he will actually do pretty well though, just given what we looked at. I think that as a candidate, Youngkin's actually gonna struggle. He's Virginia. I think is a very hard state for Republicans to win at this point. A lot of it is winning white rural voters, which Trump obviously did very, very well. Another part of it is doing very, very well in DC suburbs. A lot of the candidates that tend to be better for white rural voters are more conservative, more populist Republicans like Trump. Other than Trump, I would say probably the next best realistic candidate is like either Ron DeSantis or maybe Marjorie Taylor Greene. And Then there's the DC suburbs. A lot of these suburbs, generally speaking, they tend to like more moderate establishmentarian candidates. They tend to like the Mitt Romneys, the Joe Bidens of this, and not even necessarily moderate. Romney and Biden aren't necessarily moderates. They're more traditional, like traditional. Romney's like traditional anti-Trump conservative. Biden's like he's kind of towing the line between, I would say ideologically, he's sort of between moderate and traditional. He's governed more like a moderate or more like a traditional Democrat, or at least recently. Honestly, I'd say he's governed like definitely farther to left than he is ideologically. Probably like on like the more left wing like end of the traditional Democrat like area. Probably still is a traditional though. I don't know if he's governed like far left enough to the point where he would be a progressive, but still. Um, and we yeah, I didn't. I was talking about Virginia. How did I get to that? Anyways, um, and I think if the GOP were to find a candidate who's very strong for white rural voters, but is also strong, or I think if the GOP were to find a candidate that has the strength, like in terms of demographics, to carry Virginia, like what demographics they're strong for, to carry Virginia, I think that it's almost certainly a national landslide should they become like the presidential nominee. That would be a ridiculously strong candidate. Youngkin is not that candidate, and I think that having like I've seen people on like Twitter. Obviously, I think I saw John King saying that McAuliffe wants Trump to visit Virginia, and I saw some people on Twitter saying that um, Youngkin should get like Larry Hogan to campaign with him. In either way, I think I think that getting Larry Hogan to campaign with him wouldn't do much harm, but I think that having Trump campaign with him obviously would. If he were to have Trump campaigning with him, he would do very, very well with white rural voters and turn out a lot of his base. But he would really struggle in the DC suburbs. If he were to have Hogan, I don't think like there are many rural. I don't think there's gonna be loads of rural voters that are saying, like, well, I was gonna turn out and vote for Youngkin, but then he had Larry Hogan campaign with him, and now I'm not. I don't think that's like I don't think there's gonna be a large enough portion of the electorate for that to really affect him. But I don't know how much help. Like I think obviously it would help him, but I think at the end of the day, even if he does do better with suburbanites, he's still not as strong for white rural voters as Trump, which is going to be which is probably going to be a problem for him. I would think, like, well, no, I don't know if there are many great Republicans that he should try to get to like, campaign with him. I think he's in a tough spot. I think he's one. I think he's going to do surprisingly well. And I think he's making like the most of a relatively tough um electoral situation. And I think at the end of the day, this probably does go to McAuliffe, but I think Youngkin probably does pretty well. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like below. Stay tuned for my next video. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Please comment your suggestions down below, and I hope to see you all in my next video. Bye!